Tales about ghosts are very popular in Appalachia. Tales about vampires, not so much, although not unknown. Today we tell a story about a supposed vampire that made an appearance during the golden age of coal, when the coal barons first came into the area looking for that black gold. Another story of Appalachia. Big Stone Gap, Virginia was settled in the early 19th century and is named for the water gap between that town and the town of Appalachia. The name was given to the town by the men who came into the area seeking to exploit those aforementioned mineral resources. And for a time, Big Stone Gap was set to explode in wealth and population. Many even saw the town as the next major Appalachian metropolis. Because of that, people arrived from all over Europe to partake in that coal boom. Among those Europeans moving into the Appalachian Mountains of southwest Virginia was a man known only by his last name, Rupp. Now, Mr. Rupp was a reclusive man. He never was interested in socializing with his neighbors, much less the rest of the folks who lived in Big Stone. Rupp had built himself a tiny cabin up in the woods on a mountainside. There he lived by himself, but while he lived alone, he was definitely noticed by the folks in the area. You see, soon after he moved onto his land, strange things began to happen. A local farmer found two of his prized cows slaughtered in the field. Now, this wasn't normally considered strange because oftentimes bears or wolves will occasionally kill a cow. The difference here was that these cows had been dismembered, with the attacker leaving only the head and hindquarters of each cow in the field. Oh, and all the cow's blood was missing. As time went by, more animals were discovered, butchered and drained of blood in the same way. Suspicion fell on that strange, reclusive European living in that little cabin in the woods. This suspicion was fueled when two boys happened to pass his cabin one day and saw the hermit sitting in front of the fireplace eating a large piece of raw meat. The folks in the area soon demanded the sheriff place Mr. Rupp under arrest, but he refused, citing a lack of evidence linking Rupp to the dead animals. Soon things would change. The town drunk went missing a few weeks later. A few days after his disappearance, his body was found in the woods with no blood. All this happened a quarter-mile from the Rupp cabin, but he was only the first victim. You see, there was a man who was employed as a salesman of odds and ends. In his business, this fellow would travel around the hills and hollers of southwest Virginia and eastern Kentucky, selling his wares and making a modest living for himself. In doing so, he relied on the kindness of the folks in the area for room and board at night. Well, one day when he was supposed to check in with the home office and account for the previous week's sales, he didn't. Pretty soon it was discovered why. Someone stumbled upon the man's body, also drained of blood, just like the town drunk and all those animals. Something had to be done, and the community was sure Rupp was the man responsible. So a group of men was appointed as a posse to go to the Rupp cabin and see what was going on, which they did in an unexpected visit. When they got there, they found that Mr. Rupp was nowhere to be found, having apparently gone into the woods for some reason. Not wanting to wait on him, the men decided to go inside the old cabin to poke around. One brave soul, discovering the door unlocked, gently nudged it open enough to see inside. What he saw haunted the men for the rest of their lives. Strewn about the inside of that little cabin in the woods were body parts, some of them animal, but most of them human. Arms, legs, torsos, heads, you name it, it was in there. The tops of Rupp's table and the countertops were covered in blood. The men then set fire to the cabin and burned it to the ground. They left to go on a manhunt for old Rupp, but he was never found. It's presumed that he died in those woods, but no one can be 100% sure about that. It's said, though, that the woods around his little cabin are haunted by his ghost to this day, over 100 years later. And animals, as well as people, are known to vanish without a trace in the area even now. And folks, that's the story of the mysterious vampire of Big Stone Gap, another one of the stories of Appalachia. Thanks for watching. Sweet dreams, y'all.